Casting with Ceri Jones.
My guest this week has represented his country on the lough competition scene for many years, fishing for the Welsh Fly Fishing International disabled team. In recent years, however, he has found a new passion and turned his fly fishing skills from catching trout to catching big monster carp on the fly at his local fishery, Canada Lake. The day we fished, we both had great success, with many falling victims to our imitations. While most fish were around the £10 mark, his best fish topped the scales at a whopping 24. He shares with us his methods and gives advice on catching these large carp, which gain their weight by feeding on wedding cake and vol au vents. Welcome to my podcast chat with Jason Williams. Thanks for coming over, Jason. It was a fantastic day yesterday, wasn't it?
Fabulous, Ceri. Thank you for having me. Brilliant day.
Yeah, it was great. And we didn't expect much, to be honest, because, in fact, we arranged to go and you phoned on the way, didn't you, to possibly cancel because it started to rain.
A lot of bait anglers there, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you prefer when you go in carp fishing, quieter.
Yeah, because you're up against it when you're there.
Yeah.
You've got to drag them carp from the ground bait, you know?
Yeah. Even though you've... the experience you've got with your fly fishing for trout over the years, and we'll touch on the competitions, the success you've had in that. Over recent years, it's the carp, really, probably because it's so local. We got Canada Lake. You spend an awful lot of time down there, don't you? And you perfected it, actually.
Yeah, I think I fished just so many years for the trout. I got to know the lake very well. And when the carp sort of come on the scene there, and I started picking them off as well as the trout, I seemed to get to know, the mood of the lake.
Because how long is it? Because it was a trout lake, probably about, I don't know, when it opened 15 years ago or something, was it?
Oh, yeah, I think it's more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then there always were small carp in it.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, they just like...
I think
boomed.
It's when the weddings started, when you had the wedding venue, and people be chucking God knows what in there for the fish.
Scraps, the foods and stuff.
They were getting bigger and bigger, you know.
I noticed when I fished years ago, you used to get some big goldfish in there as well, like a couple of pounds, don't
you
it?
don't see so many there today. These days, like, you don't see, the amount that were there, like, it was quite a lot. There was loads there, wasn't it? But you don't seem to...
There was shoals of them, wasn't it?
Yeah. And all them come there. Somebody emptying a pond up in Penturk, a garden pond.
Was there?
And that's Rodri. She didn't want to kill them because she put them in there.
Because I remember a few years ago we were catching them, but a pound.
Yeah. Some big, really big ones in there.
Yeah.
It's a couple of koi carp, and I've had koi carp, and they're up to about £5.
Is there?
£4, yeah.
So how did you start? I think I know you're going to tell me the answer to this now, because I'd forgot is how you started on the carp. But I remember I used to work in Dufferin Springs, help running the trout fishery there. Well, and there's a coast lake as well there. And then you came in there, I remember, didn't you? And you said, how have I been doing the fishing? And I said, I've been catching carp. But it was up at the local reservoir.
Up Nantwile, and you said you've been fly fishing for carp. And I thought, hang on, I remember it. I got to get in on this. And I didn't really think you could fly fish for them, can I tell you? Years ago, it was just something people never done. You know, you catch the odd one on a damsel and things like that, you know. But when I heard you was doing it, I had to have the share of it as well. So I went up there, and especially the top bay, and you chuck anything in front of him and
got to get him feeding first.
Get him feeding, yeah. But I noticed, especially by the two bridges, like you say, it's deep water by the one bridge. And in the summer, there was a lot of carp there, and you only had to put a damsel in and just sort of jig it a little bit over.
Because they weren't fished for them, were they?
No, nobody fishing for them. No, they were like feral, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they were more like feral carp, because they haven't been fished for years, the coast lake, you know.
I remember at the time the best fish I had from there was 14. I had a few tens and that.
Yeah.
Did you have any
I had,
Big fish from it?
yeah, I had one of the biggest. I think I had out there about 16, 17, I think. I got a photograph of that. Yeah, mirror carp. And that was on a fishing for trout, but that was on a white booby.
Was it?
Yeah, on day 7. Yeah, right on the bottom.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you actually fish on the bottom for them now, or is most of
No,
you
I
float?
never. I tell you the truth, I've never tried it on Candle Lakes, but it's something I wouldn't mind trying with a booby down deep. You know.
Yeah. Because Candle Lake now is no trout fishing at all
No.
now, is it?
No.
And it's just carp anglers. And I know they must feel frustrated as hell because they're there with all the rods on their kits, thousands of pounds of gear, and then the alarms, and then you come along with just a fly rod and catching fish up to £20 plus on a fly rod.
Yeah, and they just can't. They pull their head out. They just can't get over how it can be done. You know.
Maybe they're getting too technical. I suppose you can read too much and watch too many videos on how other people are doing it. I think if you think out of the box like you obviously have, and it's working.
It's you know, you'll get them on the naturals down there, especially if they, you know, before all the bait anglers went there, you'd get them on, especially like around April.
Yeah.
They would chase damsels like trout.
Do they?
Yeah, and honestly, with bow wave behind it, you know. And we used to do it quite regular. And when the water was much clearer, when the trout were there, if we'd see 3 or 4 carp and you put a damsel or a cat's whiskers, just leave it flutter down in front of them, instantly one would take it, you know.
Yeah.
Because now there's so much bait going in there, ground bait. And I mean, you've got spod in there, they got bait boats. It's unbelievable what they got there. Yeah, they've got bait boats on there. And you've got kilos of ground bait going in there. So to pull them carp away from, like you turn up there 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they might have been there all night because they do night fishing there.
Yeah.
And you've got to really, you know, I got nothing against anybody chucking some freebies in to pull them carp, a couple of carp away from their swims, you know.
Yeah.
But you've got to go little. But I think a lot of these boys go too big and too much.
Yeah.
And I think the carp get really.
So I've noticed like the couple of trips I've had with you down there, you were telling, we'll speak about this fish you had yesterday, which you caught with an imitated pattern. But apart from that, the vast majority of the time, you pre-bait, don't you?
Yeah.
Loose feed on the top.
Loose feet, yeah. But if you remember the time me and you went there once and we were catching them on white zonkers, remember?
Yeah.
Up on the top, and we were just chucking them down. It was so clear, the water, and the carp were coming in and swelt all the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had loads of fish, if you remember that day.
Yeah.
And
we started to feed them on bread, don't we?
yeah.
Loose feed pieces of bread.
Yeah. There's so much pressure there. You've got to put, you know, you could be at all day probably for one fish if you go imitative, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was lucky enough yesterday to have that one on the reeds. But
yeah. Because we had a food, didn't we? Up to sort of £10 plus maybe.
Yeah.
On the deer hair imitated biscuit.
Biscuit, yeah.
And then I noticed then, you know, the weird thing was, wasn't it? Like you're left-handed, I'm right-handed, and we only had a short, small little bit of bank to fish. So then you told me, well, we'll swap round.
Yeah, I'll swap round with it. Yeah, box your water.
I was daft. I thought they were making you convenient for you, but you spotted something, didn't you?
Yeah. I spotted, I could see all the reeds moving. And I thought there's something in there, or there's a couple in there. And I put had the kicking beetle on, didn't I?
Yeah.
And that's a beige colour, and it's like, to me, it's a beige colour, but it still looks like, to me, like a bit of like a dog biscuit, because it's the colour of it, you know?
It was an overhanging tree, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an overhanging big oak tree there, and a lot of reeds growing. And I just put out about 3 or 4 foot in front of the reeds, and instantly, big mouth came up and engulfed it straight away.
Wow.
You know, and that's when you looked around and all that were breaking loose.
Are these, or is that particular pattern one you tied yourself?
Yeah,
Dan?
yeah.
Is this something you've made up?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just, well, it is patterns similar to it, but the colour, usually the patterns like that are dark and black, but I've made into a very, like a beigey.
Yeah, and it's got legs, hasn't it?
Yeah. Got 4 little rubber legs, yeah.
Is it ether form or something, is it? On it
it's ether form on the top, yeah, and there's a bit of red on the top so you can sight see it, you know, and you don't distance with it, like.
Because I just looked over then, and I could see you were into a fish, and I was only about 20 yards away, maybe a little bit more, But your line was already way out, sort of 25 yards.
Oh,
I
it's
thought.
gone, yeah, instantly, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought you'd hooked it out there, but you said no,
No.
in the sides.
Yeah. Before I could even see it, yours went on, it's gone, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they can strip you when before you know it. You're on the back end. You're not far from being spooled.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and because you've got a couple of aerator, what they call like the big fountains there. You've got to watch it don't go down them.
Right.
It's sometimes it's lock and hold job, but because they go so fine.
And what was you fishing with yesterday then?
7 pound G3. All my big carp come on 7 pound.
Yeah, so you can't horse them in really.
Can't horse them in, no. It's impossible. But if I go bigger, if I go any bigger with a line, it's no fish. Or it might be one fish.
Yeah.
So everything's scaled down even to the hooks I use. I never use the carp black hooks because I think the carp, see, black stands out, it's a bit of a silhouette.
Yeah.
So I always go small.
These flies are like 10s.
10s, they 10, P175, size 10 trout ducks.
Yeah. And the floating line obviously you use is Snowbee, is it?
Snowbee, yeah.
7 weight.
Yeah. I think it's just, I love the trout fishing. I love my trout fishing, but it's just, I know with the carp, it's a different.
I was surprised the size of it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really see it for about 20 minutes or more, did we?
Oh, it was at least 25 minutes playing it, weren't we?
Yeah. And I guessed 15, 18, something like that before we saw it.
Yeah.
By the odd swirl.
Yeah.
And then when he was coming to the net, then we could tell when he was a decent fish.
Yeah, big fish.
Because it wasn't much the length, it was the girth of it, wasn't it? It was fat.
Fat, yeah. Big old thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just don't give up. Like, I think that's the draw to carp is the power. And where you catch a trout and you gas, you might have a big run and you gas up and he's in the net,
Yeah.
Carp don't gas. They just go. Well, you see, I had him into the bank a few times, didn't I? And he went back out.
Because there was rocks below us, wasn't it?
That's
and he was trying to rub the line against the rocks.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
And that fish was 24 pound, wasn't he, moving away, didn't it?
Yeah, 24 pound, yeah.
And you've had numerous 20s from there.
Numerous 20s, yeah. The biggest is 39.
Wow.
And I was caught on, I wasn't going to fish. I went on a windy day, really windy. And it was the old man that goes on a Dave Thomas, was walking on the bank, and he said, why are you fishing? He said, there's a load of carp out in front of you. Well, I couldn't see him where I was down at water level on the bank, so I put a white egg fly on. I chucked it out, an instant. As I turned on to look at Dave, to speak to him, rod wasn't ripped out of my hand.
He was fishing, was he?
No, he used to go fishing down there a lot, and he comes for a walk. He lives nearby, and he was one of the witnesses to the way in, and this fish just roared off, and I thought, I foul looks and again about 7 pound, and he roared and roared and roared. I just couldn't stop
so
him.
you just sunk underneath.
Well, as it was on the drop.
Oh yeah.
On the drop, he just well, it was. He said he'd seen about 3 or 4 carp out in front of me, about 25 yards out. But it was a hell of a lot of ripple in the water, and it's no good for carp when there's a lot of ripple.
Right.
I find, and just as this egg fly was sinking, one of them had it, and it was him, the big one,
Yeah.
And when we got it in, I just couldn't believe it. We just couldn't believe the size of it. It was just like a dinosaur.
So how did you manage the net? Because your net, you had a normal trout net.
Yeah,
then,
trout
did
net. Where we netted it, we had our net is broken. Apparently, the one I netted that was because it was snapped into places.
Was there?
The 39, yeah. Because the old man grabbed one end of the net, I grabbed the other end. I chucked the rod on the floor, and they both angled the aluminium frame around the net snapped in his hand, and it snapped in my hand.
Wow.
That's how big that fish was.
And how did you weigh it then?
We weighed it. There was a wedding on, and we had a big audience then because they heard of a big fish being caught, And they all come out, and I can't remember the catering company, but they had another flatbed scale.
Strawberry Fields, was there? It used to be there.
I think it might be, yeah. And it's like a flatbed scales they got on the wagon, like they weigh, food. And one of the boys who was doing the catering was a carp angler. And he said he'd been fishing 20 odd years and he never caught anything that big on bait, and he'd been everywhere, And so we said, we weigh it now. So we put a board on there, and a wet sack and everything, a bit of wet cloth and everything. But it was very hard to get a true read in.
Bouncing,
because them scales. but it was bouncing between like, it was going like 30, 39, 40, 39, 40, 42, bouncing all the time, And he didn't get that zero the scales after he put the board on, because he was a carp angler himself. And so we called it the 39.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still in there, probably.
He's still in there, yeah. He's still in that car. Yeah, I have seen him once or twice, right? But it's a mirror carp in there, and that's got to be at least 40, I'd say.
Is it?
You could put a saddle on it. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. But it's so wary.
I bet it's full of wedding cake.
It is, yeah. Well, everything goes in there. You won't believe when they have a wedding there, the waste food don't go waste. Don't go to all be chucked out.
Are they all commons?
No, there's a lot of mirrors in there. Well, this mirror, the one bigger I'm talking about, is a mirror.
Oh, was it?
Not the one I caught, the 39-pounder, but the one I'm talking, I've seen bigger.
Oh, right.
That's a mirror.
They're nice looking things as well.
They're lovely, yeah. The amount of food goes in, it's unbelievable, in the nights. And by the morning, it's all gone. And that's why they've gone so big, because, they eat what we're eating.
Yeah.
So
what about rod tackle-wise now? It's just a 10-foot?
10-foot Grays XD.
Yeah.
I've been using. Broken a lot of rods.
Have you?
Yeah, broken quite a few rods on the carp, yeah.
Playing them, obviously.
Playing them, yeah, bending into them. And I find these Grays Platinum XDs sort of stand the task. I got two. I got 9'6" for a 7 and a 10-foot for a 7.
Yeah.
And
I got the one before.
You got one?
X.
Yeah, I got the X. I knew, yeah.
Yeah.
And
slightly more softer.
But you've got to have a good reel. You as you seen yesterday, you've got to have a good. It's not going to have a little plastic reel on the carp,
Yeah.
You've got to have a
good drag in it.
You've got to have a good smooth drag, not a bouncy drag or a jerky drag. You've got to drag as smooth. So I got an RD. I think it's a CADD or something like that it's called.
Yeah, I saw it. Lovely looking reel.
Oh, it's lovely reel, yeah, and it's so smooth. I use a Sage as well, a Sage reel.
Yeah, both really nice looking reels.
Yeah, I think the reel is a business end, really, because although you've got the business end is the fly and everything, it's the drag.
Yeah.
You've got to take that impact. Like,
and you don't want it to overrun.
No.
Your line.
You don't want it overrunning, no. So my drag's always on number 7 when I fish in.
There's numbers on those reels, is it?
Well, it's dots, like little dots go round.
All right, yeah.
And when I play in a fish in, I go to number 10.
All right, so you're up it.
Yeah.
I
you noticed me on the video.
You looking at your reel?
I
That's what you're doing, was it?
Yeah, I was playing with the drag, yeah.
I noticed that after we took the photographs and released the fish, you actually went in with you obviously you wet your trousers.
Yeah.
And then you disappeared the car then to change. And in the time I was carrying on fishing, and there was one fish, he actually came twice, really close. We could have poked him. And as I looked down, I could see it was a leaf he'd actually sunk. And when I mentioned to you then, you said something interesting that now was obviously, I noticed the last couple of days, autumn is in the air. And you said autumn time, that's something they always do, yeah?
Yeah, when the leaves are not really, if they're real dead and brown, don't do it so much. But I've noticed over the years that when the leaves are green and they're sort of like, they're not really dead, but they fall in,
Yeah.
And they still got the green in them, they'll spend all day, cartwheel, just pulling leaves under and waiting for insects to float off, a green fly and that,
Right.
And they'll do it all day. And they'll be pulling leaves under all day. You just watch them, and that's all they spend hours doing it.
Yeah.
So got to get a leaf fly.
Yeah, probably small one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh well, actual tidy old leaf. Yeah.
But no, they spend hours pulling leaves under and seeing what floats off. Yeah. Very clever fish.
I think we're lucky really to have a water where there's quality fish like that in it.
Yeah, and none of them, they've all been angled well as well over the years. They're not battered or their mouths are not all ripped. And
there's a lake we fished once or twice up in Ryder, wasn't it? Llangwyn.
Yeah,
they've got the original
carp,
strain of carp.
Yeah,
haven't they? I don't think they're big, but you haven't fished for them, no.
I haven't fished for them, no. But I heard they've stopped it last year. I think carp fishing for them.
Is it?
Yeah, because I know somebody was doing it up there, and I was thinking of having a go.
Yeah,
but
because they come from the original carp from the monks.
Yeah, because apparently I think the lake is there as they hit the springs. I think there was originally a little pond there.
Yeah, with
carp in, and I think they were digging it digging or something, and he hit the spring, and that's the result. There's linguine.
Wow. That's a nice lake as well.
Yeah, it's a
isn't it?
lovely lake. We had a feature up there once, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It was autumn time again,
Yeah.
that was, wasn't it?
My leg was in plaster.
That's
You
right.
remember?
Yeah,
it was in
yeah,
the cast, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah. Going on to the fly fishing for the trout then. You when did you start to fly fish first of all then? How did you start?
Well, I've always started my fishing was fishing for eels in the River Taff as a kid.
Right.
And a load of us would go down school holidays, fish for eels, camping, and we fish for eels as black as coal of water, you know. They washing all the coal, they wash all the mines. And don't know, because my house, I was lucky where my mother lives. We lived right on the river, really, in North On, not far, it's a couple of 100 yards from the river. And
It's down from Pontypridd there.
yeah, and I noticed by the old Griffin and Mill garage on Cardiff Road, there's a nice stream used to run through there with a nice big trout in. You know, there's a big trout, 6 ounces, 7 ounces for the stream, you know,
Yeah.
to go tickling them. And where that stream ran into the river, it was always like a clear in the water, like the black out the way. It was like a, and in the holidays, then the 6 weeks holidays, we used to see little brown trout jumping out in the river, you know.
Yeah.
So we seen an old man on there one day, and he was fishing, and he was catching his little trout all the time on a fly. So the next thing I wanted a fly rod. So I think it was a birthday yesterday. My mother bought me a Woolworths outfit. Remember the Woolworths brand?
Yeah.
Fiberglass, bright yellow rod.
Heavy, wasn't it?
Yeah, big bright yellow rod, fiberglass, and it was a
The tank area almost.
oh, it
Wasn't
was horrible. Yeah, thinking back, but I thought it was the bee's knees at the time.
Yeah.
And there was a pack of flies in it, and they were like bumblebee flies, and like a
remember.
bright red fly, and they were awful. But back in the day, we thought that was it, you know. And we put these on, and we couldn't believe it. We were catching on these flies. These fish were just coming up and taking these flies as we casting, casting across, and we couldn't cast very good. We were catching fish up to like 6 ounces, 7 ounces, and that was it. I was hooked then, you know. I was really, but there was no fisheries about in them days, and I cut my teeth into it, getting into it a bit serious, was Lanisham Reservoir. My mother used to drop me off down there, me and a couple of the boys, and
That used to be great. I used to go there.
fabulous water, and we used to go there, but we'd fish all day, and if you got one fish, you was happy,
Yeah.
or 2 fish, you was over the moon, you know, and it's different to what it is today. I never forget on my first bag there, 6 fish. There was a gentleman coming around, and he seen me struggling, and he noticed I was there quite regular, not having much success. And he was coming with a bag of fish, and he showed me these fish, and I was like, oh my God, look at them, you know?
Yeah.
And he said, let me put these in the car, and I'll come around with it. He said, I'll show you what I had them to. And he went around there. I had no success, but he gave me a fly then, but it was a mallard and claret.
Right.
And he said, how many flies can you cast? I said, oh, I can't cast 2 or 3 like you know. And so I put 1 fly on. And that day, a fella stood with me until I had my 6.
Well, do you know who he was?
I can't remember his name. I wish I could. And I had my 6 fish. And
The Malin Claret.
the mallard and claret.
Single fly.
And I was running around to the boys with a bag of fish. I caught 6 fish, you know. I thought it was the best in. It was like Christmas. It was like so.
Buzz.
The buzz was like for weeks, you know. I had my bag of fish, first bag of fish ever, limit, you know.
Yeah.
And that was it. Then I was there on. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was.
He used to have a nice clubhouse there as well.
Fabulous clubhouse, yeah. The coin machine, when it to put your permit.
Can't remember them. Yeah, that's right.
And I think it was £4.50 for a 6 fish ticket.
Was it?
Yeah, and it's 50.
I don't know what's happened to the place now.
They're on about opening it back up. I don't think there'll ever be fishing there, because if they can't get land egg for on about closing that, it's.
I think you said about 10 years ago you started competition fishing then. So you've been pleasure fishing all your life, more or less. And then
Yeah. I done club comps in the clubs, you know.
what club was you in then?
Aberdare. I done a couple of the competitions in Aberdare. It's a success up there as well, doing the comps up there. And I was in Cliffs once, and
Cliff Harvey, the shop there.
yeah, and I was talking, and he said one year he wanted people for going to disabled, and what is I suffer with haemophilia.
Right.
A lot of people look at me and think I'm not right, you know. Underneath, I'm riddled with pain, you know, constantly.
Yeah.
And what it is it's a disease attacks the joints of the body and cause internal bleeding.
Right.
So all my joints have either been replaced or the white bone. And
So a lot of operations.
a lot of operations, new knees, new hips, ankles fusions. I'm waiting for one now on my arm to be done. Should have been done in March. I was going to go in because I was talking to a couple of the boys going to Cliffs and you should go on the senior side, but I just couldn't do that amount of practice.
Yeah.
Because on a boat, I can't bend my one leg. And I find if I'm on the engine, I can't get up to the engine, sit on the engine like everybody else. I got to put my boat seat more or less in the widest part of the boat, which is the middle. So I got to get up every time off my boat seat to walk down to the engine, leave my line all over the floor and start the engine.
And usually you'll have 3 or 4 days practice before.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because I struggle. A day on a boat, it kills me, And I love boat fishing, but I do.
It's quite physical, isn't it?
Yeah, but I go now with a couple of boys, and I go with Wayne, one of the boys. He's a great guy, he is, and he's always goes on the engine for me, and I go up the front, I just enjoy my days fishing, But I've gone now where I'm really struggling. Then, so I went in a disabled team, and I done really well there.
What countries have you fished at?
All of them.
Is it?
I done first year. It was 2 trials, one on Clywed Dog and one on Trouse. I won the Welsh Championship there. We fished Scotland then the following year, and
you fished Ireland,
I done Ireland last year. Yeah, I done really well there. Yeah, just missed out.
Where was that in Ireland then?
Lough.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and done really well. Yeah, I had flat calm, bright sunshine for 2 days, but I had 6 fish.
That's doing really good.
And one good fish as well. And I got beaten by ounces. For the brown bow. But I had top rod first day.
Yeah.
And a lovely Irish guy, Dave Lovey, had a brown bow, what they call the overall win, and he had top rod second day,
Was it?
But his ounces, yeah, it was just...
Do you still plan to do more competition fishing?
No. I've done what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
A lot of success in a well set up, and
it takes a lot of time, doesn't it? Your holidays, more or less.
Yeah, and I find as well you can get too competitive.
Yeah.
On a pleasure day.
Yeah.
Which I thought was taking the fun out of it for me a bit with the friends I fished with.
I did a lot of it at one time, and I just found I got stale. I just wasn't looking forward to going.
Exactly.
So then the competition now for me is just me and the trout, and I just fight. I always remember there was a book, Mastering the Nymph, Gordon Fraser, and right in the foreword and beginning, there was like this paragraph, and he said, in the beginning, you want to catch a trout. When you've done that, the next thing, you want to catch the most trout. When you've done that, you want to catch the hardest trout. No, the biggest trout, sorry. And then last of all, when you've done that, you want to catch the hardest trout. And I think that's the challenge then. When you've caught big fish, you've caught numbers of fish. You do need challenges all the time, don't you?
Yeah, well, like today I find with a trout fishing, unless you've caught 15 fish, 20 fish, you have another good day.
Yeah.
Which to me goes against when I started catching 1 fish all day, and over the moon with it, or 2 fish. And if you get your bag, you was over the moon. It's just changed over, like I'd say, 40 odd years. It's changed so much.
If you had 4 1-pound fish then, you made up, wasn't it?
Oh, you was over the moon. And if you caught 1, you was over the moon. You caught the fish, but that's gone. This sort of excitement have gone out of it, I think.
Yeah.
It's now if you haven't caught 20 or the excitement's on there, people.
You tie you touched briefly as well. You tie your own flies as well, don't you?
Tie all my own flies, yeah. Do a lot of concoctions as well and make up things. Some work, some don't.
During the winter time, I guess you do most of it then.
I do a lot in the winter. I got to have the head on for it, really. I do sort of get the mindset right. Once I got it out and I'm going, I sit for a couple of days, I'm doing it. And all of a sudden, then it won't come out for another 2 or 3 months,
I think when I was a kid, I thought, I'm going to tie flies for a living. A lot of people think that, don't they?
Yeah.
And geez, I couldn't do it. It's the monotony. You know, I've seen people, they'll tie maybe 20 or 30 of a certain pattern,
Oh, I couldn't do that.
and then they'll just tie the pattern instead of tying the whole fly and then go start another one. They'll just tie the tail in, and then they'll have like 30 hooks, tie the tail of them all, and everything is like a factory line.
That's not tying, is it? Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's tying, but it's just I'd rather tie what I want to tie, and you know, I find in a chore to tie.
Yeah.
But when I get that, like in lockdown now, I had a bit of it bucked me up a bit to do a bit of tying.
Yeah.
I've done I've done a few boxes full, you know,
Did
bobies
you?
and God, yeah. You know, and I'm sort of one of the ones I take a long time on a fly and not a quick fly tie, and I like it to be
Yeah.
like, well, sometimes a lot of people say that's all right, but I'm just one of these people.
Yeah.
I like it to be perfect, you know.
Yeah. It's something which I've got back into. I think, like everyone, the eyes start to go after a while. Like,
Oh yeah,
I noticed as well, you know, on your Facebook page, and then you'll be maybe in Farmo fishing, and then all of a sudden you're in Clywedog, and then Draycart or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'll see pictures of you on a cruise. You do like your cruises,
I do like
don't
my
you?
cruises, yeah.
So you've been to some exotic places every
Been,
year
yeah.
you go.
Been all over the Caribbean and everywhere, yeah.
Haven't you thought of having a day?
I would, but the trouble is when these boats go in, they're only in there for like 6-7 hours or like 12 hours.
All right.
So if I said to her, right, she gives me all the, Gina, my wife, gives me all the room in the world. I can go fishing every day of the week. But when I'm on holidays, I'm on holidays. If I said to her, I'd taken a rod with me, I think it'd be a divorce.
I bet you've seen some places, though, which you
Beautiful.
thought,
Well, we landed in Barbados on an airplane, and we were coming back. We were going around the Caribbean and sailing back to Southampton. And when I come to the jetty, let's call it a jetty, the docks in the Barbados, I looked in the water, and there was sailfish, and there must have been about 70, 80 of them around the ship.
Really?
But all about 6-7 pounds. It was like a sanctuary for them.
yeah.
And, you know, the rest of the day I was so depressed. Just
I
wanted
wish
my
you had a
rod.
rod
Yeah,
in there,
yeah.
like.
But the gentleman working there was saying if you fell in there, they'd be attacking your watch. They do. If you got a silver
Putting
watch
everything
on.
shiny, like.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they?
He was telling me, yeah, he said a couple of boys that work on the docks had fallen in and they got their arms badly bitten. They go for the watch.
Is it?
Yeah.
Have to tell you watch pattern.
Watch pattern, yeah.
I'd like to give it a go. I've never wanted to do anything exotic, really, but just with the taste I've had now of fly fishing for bass,
Yeah.
you know, I can imagine the adrenaline would be quite good if you get something big
Yeah.
in the ocean, like, you know.
Well,
So have you got anywhere on your bucket list then you want to go?
Cuba.
That is the one, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I want to go to Cuba.
Bonefish.
Bonefish, tarpon, you know.
Have you fished Scotland at all? Apart from you fished Leven, did you? Is it
No,
Leven you
I
fished?
fish Menteith.
Menteith.
Lake Menteith,
What
yeah.
was that like?
Lovely water. Lake
Yeah.
Menteith, yeah.
They've
Really
got good rainbows there, haven't they?
very good rainbows. Yeah, they've seen a different strain of rainbows. They fit really. Yeah, I got broken at a few times undergunned,
Yeah.
but they very they're beautiful fish. Yeah.
There was a few things this year I wanted to do before this lockdown came and the travel restrictions. And one of the things that I wanted to fish Scotland.
Yeah.
As a kid, I started, when I really started fishing, about 12, I fished Loch Lomond,
All right.
you know, and caught some small trout there. Like, but it's something I'd like to go back to do. I spent a lot of time in Ireland, but I will want to fish Scotland at some point.
Yeah. I've done Scotland twice. Yeah.
Oh, did you? What was the other one?
You know, like
Both of them?
Menteith. Yeah, both internationals on Menteith. Yeah, lovely water, Menteith. It's the only lake in Scotland.
That's right, in the Trossachs, isn't it?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to give it a go next year. We're going back to your goals for this year, because this has been a bit of a disaster this year, haven't it? It's only the last month or so we've been able to fish. Like, I guess, like with Canada Lake, what is your ultimate goal down there then? 40, is it?
To beat that 39. I know it's a fish in there bigger.
You've seen?
I've
or
seen it.
Or you think?
I've seen it. No, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've been close. But not close enough. But
Yeah.
I've been there. But I find with these really big carp, they are very wary. The slightest little thing will just spook them, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm finding, I've had this carp come in up to the fly. But I've seen smaller carp around the 8 pound bracket bullying him off. I see a lot with carp that the smaller fish will bully the big fish away.
Is it? You think the other way around?
You think it'd be the other way around, but yeah, I've seen, you get like 5 or 6, 8 pounders, and you get a couple of 20s there, and then 20s won't be that long.
What I did like about the place, because it's been a few years since I was there, probably about 2 years, and they've got that restaurant there now as well, in the bar.
It's lovely in there.
You got a bar within 6 foot of the water.
You can have a pint when you're fishing, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got campings then down the one end.
Yeah.
Which again, you could probably have your rod beside your bed out to the door.
Yeah, you could fish
close,
off a balcony, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Off the balcony of the cabin, you could fish it there. Yeah.
It's a lovely, lovely setup.
You can have an hour's fishing and have a pint.
Yeah.
Right, and
or 2.
Yeah, if nobody's picking you up, if you've got somebody to pick you up, we just stay there.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be going there again anyway. My goal is to beat mine, which is £14. And I got no proof I got the £14 because what happened when I was fishing Nantmoyle, when we were talking after we started, I remember I had this lovely fish and I took some lovely photographs of it and then returned it. And then on the camera, it was a Fuji early digital camera. I went back home, there's loads of pictures on there. And then I was like skipping one and saying delete or say delete. And then all of a sudden it said delete all. And I automatically deleted. And all of a sudden the whole, I couldn't believe it. I was holding the camera in my hand and thinking, no. So I got no proof. It's gone. But not a massive fish, but it was nice. So I've got to beat that anyway. It's all good nowadays, mind, isn't it? You can take pictures of everything because with your phone.
Yeah,
and it's all good. I got a little tripod even now with me. I was stick in my back. So if I do have a nice fish on my own, I can just
put it out. Yeah.
And and take a selfie then and release it back But I'll have to make sure I get a wide angle lens because this 20 or 30 pound that I'm gonna have down Candle Lake, I will have to.
Well, I'm sure, Ceri, if you come down a couple of times with me, you'll beat PB definitely.
Well, hopefully this autumn maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back down again
and make sure it's a bit quieter there.
Yeah. If anybody wants to see the video of the fish which you had yesterday, it's just after the podcast on my website. There's a little video clip on there and some stills, and it's an amazing looking fish. And there's a picture of even Jason wetting his trousers.
I should have done a dive, shouldn't I?
I was like, go on.
I nearly did. If it weren't for Chris, I would have. I would have been over the edge.
I would think I would have waited until Friday to put that video up. It'd been on last night.
As Chris said to me, I went to step back, and Chris said, "Don't step back there," didn't he?
Spunked it in.
Because I would have been in 10 foot of water.
Yeah. Maybe next time. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed the chat, and no doubt we'll have a couple of days soon. And hopefully we'll have just as much fun and a success as the last time.
Yeah, thank you, Ceri, and really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And
Good.
We'll beat that PB, don't worry.
Yeah. Cheers, Jason. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure you catch all future episodes by clicking subscribe via the links on my website, castingwithkerryjones.com, or via iTunes or your favourite podcatcher. If you like what you've heard on this episode, feel free to drop me a line via my website. Tell me what you've enjoyed, ask a question, or better yet, tell me what you want to hear more of in the future. And if you're looking for additional tips, tackle reviews or venue information, or just want to see what's been hitting the back of my net lately, search up Casting with Kerry Jones on Facebook or follow me on Instagram. And if you still want more, I'm regularly uploading video content onto the Casting with Kerry Jones YouTube channel, so just check that out and subscribe over there too. Wherever you follow, subscribe, comment or message, I look forward to catching up soon for a good fishing chat. Well, I think that's all for now. So until next time, tight lines and don't strike too soon.